Well, reports are that Sterling is being targeted by Barcelona for a January loan. Let's get a bit more on this. We are joined now by The Guardian's Manchester football writer, Jamie Jackson. Good morning, Jamie.
Morning, Jamie.
Good morning, good morning.
Good morning. Oh, Jamie, you sound
Love
bright.
it, Jamie. Love it. You're up for it. I can tell, mate. You're up early and you're raring to go, mate. Now, but the one question I've got for you, Jamie, is this. We're talking about potentially Raheem Sterling maybe leaving the club. Surely they should be getting a centre forward in before they do anything.
Yeah, I mean, this is the sort of ongoing debate, isn't it? Since Pep didn't get Harry Kane or another centre forward. I think he obviously wanted Kane, so that says he wants a centre forward who can score loads. Sterling's an interesting footballer character because, you know, he's been written off a lot, hasn't he, really?
Yeah.
You know, when he first came to City, he was sort of missing chances, but he was getting in position, then he was really prolific, and then Pep kind of dropped him, and then he responded by basically being England's player of the Euros. It's an interesting one, this, about a loan. I'm not sure I can remember. I mean, there might be an example. City allowing, you know, a player of Sterling's quality to go on loan mid-season. And what I would say is he falls into that band of player like Bernardo Silva, Gabriel Jesus, Riyad Mahrez, who Guardiola basically plays a lot, but not necessarily week in, week out. But to be honest, apart from a player maybe like Ederson or De Bruyne, Kyle Walker, he doesn't really have many, you know, week in, week out players. So yeah, it's the centre forward thing. It'd be difficult to get one in January. You know, it's difficult in the summer. I mean, he said basically on the record since he didn't get Kane, in essence, that it's. I think he said the other week, you know, what, £250 million to buy two strikers. In other words, A, it's very expensive, and B, where'd you get them from?
Yeah.
Well, that's it. I was thinking about that. Who would be the next in line? Who would be the striker that they go out and target if they haven't got Harry Kane, or would they maybe wait and come back in for him next time? On Raheem Sterling, he's only started 2 of the 7 Premier League fixtures this season.
Yeah.
I know what you're saying about rotation, but he was almost out of favour before the summer even came round with Pep, wasn't he?
Yeah, 100%. And you know, he was actually one of those players like Kevin De Bruyne, who I just mentioned, who used to be, you know, he was sort of one of the first on the team sheet. And I did a little sort of story on this about how Guardiola has a sort of a record, let's say, of you know, dropping players. He hasn't necessarily done that much wrong. So Sterling, to take the example, I think it was mid-March last season, he just scored 7 or 8 goals in 10 games. He'd got about 3 games without scoring. And from then he was basically dropped. You know, he got back in the side, but he was no longer a regular. But then he starts in for the Champions League final. If you're Raheem Sterling, I mean, obviously Guardiola will be speaking to him about what he needs to do, you know, on the training ground. But you must be a little bit baffled, because if you go back over the records, after Aguero, there was a couple of seasons where he was sort of the top, you know, scorer for them in the Premier League. I think it was 18 goals one year, 24, 25 in total. I don't think he you know, he's become a very bad player. He hasn't at all. He's a very good player. But it's just, you know, I'm interested to see, for example, what happens with Jack Grealish this season. Is he going to sort of have this experience under Guardiola, where he's in the side, and even though he's cost £100 million, suddenly he's not, and you think, that's an interesting move.
I think you're right, Jamie. I think, myself included, I keep going on about Manchester City not having out-and-out centre forward. The one person that doesn't really seem too bothered about that fact is actually Guardiola, because he seems very confident in his players and rotation and things like that. But looking at them, I think the Southampton game aside, we were talking about it yesterday, Jamie, I don't know whether you agree, their performances, generally speaking, against the top sides have been excellent, be it Liverpool, Chelsea, and I would include PSG in that. I know they were beating that game, but I thought they played particularly well.
No, I agree with you, and this is why, you know, Guardiola is so good, and why he is confident. I mean, you know, obviously he has to express confidence in the players he has at the club at the moment. He can't sort of say, well, actually, we're really desperate for a strike. But you're right. I mean, they are basically up there, you know, as you would expect from last season, being the champions of England and, you know, getting to the Champions League final. And you're right. Even the PSG game, they played very well. And this is what he does. He has got that team, the squad, the club, exactly how he would want it. You know, playing his way. Everyone understands. They really respect him. The hierarchy love him. It's a little bit like Ferguson was at Manchester United, actually, in a sort of smaller version. You know what I mean? He is like an old-fashioned manager in that he runs that place top to bottom, and this is reflected in the performances that you just mentioned. Then, and if you ask me sort of who do I think the title's going to be between? I think it's basically them and Liverpool this season.
Another story in the back of the Sun today. Sean Gota says he would help the club sign Erling Haaland because he played with his dad Alfie at City. I don't know if you've seen this one and what you think about it, whether or not it's as simple as that.
Well, he's probably not as simple as that, but when you mentioned before who else would they go for,
Yeah.
as a centre forward, would they go back in for Kane? I think Haaland is definitely up there. I mean, Haaland, no disrespect to Harry Kane, it's not his fault, but he's about 5 or 6 years younger. For the sort of fees what we're talking about, whatever it would be, I don't know, 100 million, 150 million, then Haaland might be, from their point of view, a better. But whether, Sean Gota obviously is a sort of, he loves City, he played there, he's a bit of a legend with the fans. He's going to try and do everything he can to help. And listen, maybe it would help, but I suppose, we'll have to wait and see. But personally, I think Haaland would be a better signing for Manchester City, just because he is a little bit younger, and so he's got, he's more of an investment going forward. The next, you have at least 10 brilliant years out of it, probably.
I think the release clause as well is only 65 million for Haaland.
Yeah, but is that now till next summer? The release clause, I think.
So say if they go in this summer,
later in the summer,
yeah, which seems like a good option, doesn't it, to wait for?
Exactly. I mean, it's going to be fascinating this season. Can City basically do it again? Without a prime centre forward, because obviously Aguero was injured for large swathes of last season. It's going to be really fascinating to see if Ferran Torres or Bernardo Silva or Sterling or even Jack Grealish, which was a bit of an interesting one, wasn't it, at Liverpool, in playing the sort of false number. I know, can they again be champions and get to maybe win the Champions League final? Because if he does that, then you'd have to, already we think he's a genius, I suppose, but you'd have to say wow. But it was very interesting that he wanted a centre forward, i.e. Harry Kane this summer, because that said to basically everyone that, he feels he misses that option. And that was the value of it. I mean, Aguero was phenomenal, wasn't he, obviously? And to have that in your armoury, he didn't always play him, but as per usual, to have an Aguero or a Harry Kane or a Haaland in your armoury, well, you're going to be very, very, very difficult to rule out of winning, something like the Champions League.
Yeah, definitely. Jamie, thanks for your time.
Thanks, Jamie. Have a good day, mate.
Take care. Thank you very much. Our thanks there to Guardian's Manchester football writer Jamie Jackson.